welcome. Good afternoon or good morning in some cases. Hi, it's your girl Shirley Nichols with Mortgage Money with Shirley. Yes, it is Friday, y'all. Friday, the weekend is here. And we are ready to do this podcast, you all. We are on episode 29. It's a Q&A session for first-time home buyers. And if you're not a first-time home buyer, you can still tune in. Please, please, please tag a friend, invite a friend. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Mortgage Money with Shirley. And you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music. You can find me. Find me at Mortgage Money with Shirley. It's the podcast that everyone is talking about, trending, and wanting to hear some tips and clues about this mortgage business. I'm here to bring it to you, okay? Twice a month on a Friday. Again, it's your girl, Shirley Nichols. I am live on Facebook and YouTube will have this video uploaded, and as well as my business channel. You can always find anything about Mortgage Money with Shirley. Leave your comments, questions, and concerns. And at the end of the podcast, I always give out my phone number so you can reach me directly. Okay, so if you have any questions, comments, or concerns that you don't want to leave on the Facebook page or in my DMs or direct messages, if you don't want to leave those comments there, feel free, give me a phone call because I will be giving you my phone number at the end of the show, okay? So again, it's Mortgage Money with Shirley, and it's episode 29 we're doing right now. It's episode 29, Q&A session with first-time home buyer questions, okay? So today we have a special guest. She's very special to me. She hails from Indianapolis, Indiana. And she's here today in our studio, the Deja Marie Miles. Yes. Welcome, Deja. Welcome, Deja. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Indianapolis. And I know you have with you your son.
Come here, boo.
Come on in and say hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
Kai.
Hi, Kai. Thank you so much for coming and joining your mom here. I know your mom is looking for a new house for you all soon back in Indianapolis, and she's our first-time homebuyer guest with her questions. Yes. So thank you so much, Kai. Thank you so much, Deja. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into this episode 29 because you know our 30 minutes goes by like this because one of us loves what she does, and I just can't stop talking about it. And in case you all don't know, I've been a mortgage broker in the mortgage business for over 28 years, and my NMLS number, and that number is a good number that you might want to know because that means I'm licensed to tell you what it is that I know about this business. So my NMLS number 105989, 105989. Okay, so again, been in this business forever, and I think I know a little something about this business as it evolves and changes all the time. The guidelines are constantly being updated and changed around and all that good stuff, but I want to bring to you as much information I can in a little bit of time, and hopefully you'll join in with your friends, family, co-workers, enemies if you want to. I don't care. Share! All right,
Please
so
share.
So let's go ahead and get started. Episode 29, y'all. So it's the Q&A session. I want to bring on Deja with her questions because she is on the hunt for her first time house. And you know, Deja, you might have heard people saying little buzzwords like, oh, are you going to get your forever home, your dream home? You know, I want to just kind of reel it back in. Your first home, it's okay. It may not be your forever home. You're, how old?
I'll be 27 tomorrow.
Tomorrow, guys. 27, buying her first house. 27, do you really think what you like at 27 you'll like at 40?
Probably not.
Okay. So you heard it from the 27-year-old herself. You don't have to worry about getting that forever home right now. But what you should be concerned about is obtaining a home, a property, an asset, one of your biggest assets. Get started with that right now so you can certainly get equity, get some money, be able to sell that house or keep that house for Kai and his future. So again, getting this biggest asset ever in your life, getting a piece of property, getting a home is creating your generational wealth for your son and so on and so forth. So you don't have to sell it, but that's a quick means to an end, or you can hold on to the property and let it grow and amass for generations to come after you. So it's my forever home. Get in a house. Get in a house. And if you watch my previous podcast, I always say, when is a good time to buy? Do you know? No.
No.
She hasn't been watching the podcast. When is it a good time to buy? When you're qualified. That's it. When you're qualified.
So not a winter, spring, summer. It's just
So
when you're
not the
qualified?
season or the interest rate. It's when you're qualified to buy. Because again, I'll tell you what'll happen. Oh, I'll just wait till the interest rates go down. I'll just wait till it's the summer. So what'll happen is you'll wait till the interest rates go down, and they'll go down on Monday, and then they'll go back up on Wednesday. And then you'll wait for the summer that will soon be the fall, and you'll go, I was waiting for those rates to go down, and now it's the fall, and now it's going to be a little too cold to move. No, stop waiting on the season. Stop waiting on the rate. When it's your turn, and it's because you're qualified. Okay? So let's get into the first question, Pi. I'm sorry, excuse me, Deja. Oops. Disclaimer, she is my niece, and I call her a whole different
not
nickname.
You sharing nicknames on the podcast.
But because she's a first-time home buyer, this makes this whole thing legit, and I want to jump into it. So let's get with the first question. What is your notion, or what is your thought on what kind of down payment, or I should say how much of a down payment you would need for your first-time home?
So for the longest time, I was like, okay, I need to save up $10,000. For some reason, I think that's the magic number. But here recently, my group of friends have also been buying their homes and, taking me through their process with them. And they're like, no, you just need 1% to 2% down. And I'm like, oh, that makes me feel a lot better, because $10,000 might take me a bit to save up for that.
Okay, so let me pause, put a stop to this train. I don't want to call it a train wreck, but let me just put a stop to this part of the train so we can move on to the caboose. When you're a first-time home buyer, I don't want to say the worst thing you could do, but you want to stay away from, if possible, some of the friends or the peoples who are educating you that are not in the business. Does that make sense? It's like me going to Burger King, asking the person who is in charge of the fry station how to do braids, how to braid the hair, how to get individuals. You know what I mean? It's like those people who are not in this industry, who are not the professionals, steer clear of their answers, steer clear of asking. It's a difference, to talk about their particular situation. Oh, hey, Mary Jane, how did it go for you? What did you do? It's a difference when you're just conversating, asking how it went for their particular situation. But I'd steer clear from the Q&A with the friends or the people who are not in the business. And why? Well, the 1% to 2% down payment. Okay, so are there some first-time home buyer programs? Yes, there are. But a lot of these first-time home buyer programs are geared toward closing cost, right? They're having programs where they're helping you get your closing costs up to $10,000. By the way, there is a program out there now. What'd you say, Shirley? There's a program out there now that deals with first-time home buyers and closing costs up to $10,000. You do need to be working with a California real estate agent. For this particular program, okay, where the closing costs will go up to $10,000. They can help you with that. So I can get more into that. If you give me a call, we'll talk about that. However, other states have their own state programs for first-time home buyers. And like I said, a lot of these first-time home buyer programs are towards your closing costs. Now, every now and again, nationwide, you'll see these other first-time home buyer programs that will help with down payment costs. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's some of these first-time home buyer programs, and you'll need to research your specific state, but there are some that will allow for you to have a down payment assistance. Okay, we call those the DPAs, down payment assistance. So with those down payment assistance, because you've already talked to your friends and they said, oh, maybe I had to put 1% or 2% down. That could be because they qualified for a down payment assistance program where they will allow for some down payment assistance. Now, what happens with those down payment programs? Be clear. It is not free money. What'd you say, Shirley? It is not free money. So typically what happens with those programs is they have a fixed number of years you'll need to stay in that property, right? Typically it's about 5 years. So if you were to sell that property or if you were to refinance that property before that 5-year term ends or whatever your state specific term is, if you were to refinance or sell that property, then you will pay that money back. And being in this business, I will tell you, a lot of my clients, I want to say a good 96, 97% of my clients will end up refinancing in the first 3 years. They rarely ever get to that 5th year. And so what happens is when they refinance in the 3rd year because, interest rates went down, I've got more equity, what tends to happen is they refinance in that 3rd year to get the lower rate, and then they got to pay off that second mortgage, because that's really what it is. That down payment assistance plan, it's really a second mortgage. They'll call it a silent lien. They'll call it, it's not going to hit your credit, or whatever term they want to use for your state. It is a second mortgage. Nothing wrong with a second mortgage, don't get me wrong. Just be mindful that it's not free money. That's all that I suggest. So when you're saying, I talked to some friends who are putting these 1% and 2% down payments, be mindful of exactly what they're talking about. Did they get a down payment assistance program? Or are they talking about, I'm into a new construction home? So I have another niece, my beloved Chanel. She is actually en route here now. She was going to be on the podcast today, but her plane is not quite here. So my other niece, who is buying her first home soon, has questions. But the difference between when people say, I put down 1 or 2% for the down payment, be clear what they're saying, right? If you understood Chanel's process, who's buying a new construction home, right? Her process is a little different, because if she says, I only put down 1 to 2%, what she's talking about is her good faith estimate. Or not estimate, I'm sorry, her good faith or her earnest money deposit. I keep saying good faith. You can tell I've been in this business for quite so long. We used to use good faith estimates. But she's putting down an earnest money deposit is what she's doing. So that 1 to 2% that you'll hear, your friends saying, I only put down 1 or 2%, what they're talking about most of the time is their earnest money deposit. So what's that? Do you happen to know what an earnest money deposit?
What is that?
What is that, you may ask? Okay. Earnest money deposit. When you're buying a home, whether, again, it's a new construction built from the ground up, they just now started a new subdivision in your neighborhood and you want a piece of that action, whether it's a new construction or a pre-existing home. Most of my first-time home buyers get pre-existing homes. They're already there. A previous owner owned them and now they're selling it, right? They often ask you, the previous owner or the seller of that property, or even the new construction sales office, they will often ask you for an earnest money deposit, an EMD. They're often asking for these earnest money deposits. And I believe, it's been a while since I've asked somebody, how much do I need to put down? But I believe a lot of these friends or relatives or clients are saying they need to put down 1 to 2%. But what that is their earnest money deposit. Has nothing to do with their down payment. And the earnest money deposit typically is that 1 to 2% of the sales price. And that earnest money deposit is only to hold your name, your number, your whatever on that property so no one else buys it. And that's all it is. So when you're asking people what did they put down, be clear on what you're asking. What'd you put down for your EMD, your earnest money deposit? Or what did you have to have for your down payment? 2 separate things. So the earnest money deposit probably is 1 to 2%. Some people are up to 3% now on their earnest money deposits. It just depends on your market and your area. But I can tell you, when they say 1 to 2%, most of the time they're talking about that earnest money deposit to secure their name and their dibs on that property. It's their earnest money that they're talking about. So now let's talk about this down payment. Now, What do you need as a first-time home buyer for your down payment assistance? Or not assistance, I'm sorry. We talked about the assistance. Let's talk about what is needed, what may be required. And what do I encourage a lot of first-time home buyer is look into the FHA plan. Look into the FHA loan program. It is a government program. And you can hear a lot of yay, nay, maybe so's about the FHA program, but it is the cheaper down payment in some cases. FHA is a government loan, requires 3.5% of the sales price. 3.5%. Okay. So if you're buying, let's use just some small numbers here, $100,000 house, you'll need 3.5% of that $100,000 sales price, or $3,500 as your down payment. That's what the lenders are checking for when you're going in to get what? Qualified for a house. Remember, when is a good time to buy a house?
When you're qualified.
When you're qualified. So you call Shirley. Hello. I'm going to ask you, do you have your down payment? Do you have your 3.5% in the bank? Well, yeah, sure, I've got that. Okay, so we're going to move on from there, okay? But that is what is required for FHA. Now, there are some conventional programs. Conventional programs are not government regulated, but the conventional programs, there are some that would only require 3% down. So using that same $100,000 sales price, 3% of the $100,000 or $3,000 is a little cheaper on the pockets. But now with that conventional 3% down, there are some other restrictions with that program. Okay. So no longer is it, have you heard someone say, oh, you need 20% down. You need 20% down. Have you heard that? No. Good.
No, I haven't.
When I got started in the business, the buzzword was, oh my gosh, I need 20% down. The only reason why back in the day when I got started, a lot of people thought, oh, 20% is because they did not want what's called PMI. Do you know what PMI is?
No.
PMI, private mortgage insurance. Private mortgage insurance protects the lender. Kind of like car insurance, your car insurance protects you and your automobile. Well, private mortgage insurance, or PMI, protects the lender. So just in case you decide not to make good on your payments, they can be restored or indemnified back to normal because they have insurance that's going to pay that loan off that you owe the bank. So the PMI is what a lot of people want to try to avoid. So they say, oh, I need 20% down. Because that's the indicator. If you have 20% down or 80% worth of equity in the property, 20% worth of equity in the property, then your loan doesn't have to be insured. That's what the PMI is for. You're insuring the loan, you're protecting the lender. So if you have 20% worth of equity in the home, you won't need the PMI. Or if you had a 20% down payment, you wouldn't have to have that PMI. But it's not mandatory. And I think, like I said, when I first got into the business, 28 years ago, when I first got into the business, a lot of my clients would always say, I'm not ready to buy because I don't have the 20%. 20%? What? So you don't have to have that 20%. So we've talked about down payments. We've talked about down payment assistance and what it looks like and what it could be. And you might want to go that route. You might want to check with your certain state guidelines about those programs. Let's get into now the money part of this down payment. Like, where are you going to get this money from? So tell me, do you understand or have an idea of the resources that are available, or I should say the resources that can be utilized when you're trying to get your down payment monies?
Yes. Like those first time home buyers programs that you just talked about that, each state has, or you said there's also some nationwide programs as well.
Correct. Any other place that you think you could get your down payments from?
My aunt.
Down payment monies. My aunt. That's a no. That's a huge no. Okay. So let's jump into that, right? Okay. Because there is another point to these down payment monies that you need, if you will. There's another part to all of that. Not only will you need your earnest money deposit, right? That 1 or 2% that it typically is. Mm-hmm. Not only will you need that, your down payment monies, whether it's 3% or 3.5%, or if you want to do conventional, which is at 5%, and the 3% is actually a conventional program as well. So whether you need the 3.5, and on up for your down payment, you also need a third factor in all of this is your closing cost. Okay, that's different. Now, I just saw your expression. Now, don't get alarmed, folks. Let's.
It's a lot of percentage and a lot of money.
But don't get alarmed because this is all good stuff, right? Let me kind of break it down for you. So you go and you buy a house.
Okay.
$100,000 house. Let's say you do the FHA program. We say, okay, $100,000 house, the seller, right? The seller has said, just give me $1,000 to hold on to that house as your earnest money deposit, right? Oh, and you have your phone. Get your calculator out. This is going to be a really good insight to all this monies and percentages that Deja just said. So I want you all to kind of walk with us as I spew out these numbers. So let's look at this, okay? If you have your calculators, now's a good time. Run, go get your calculator. We'll wait a couple seconds. 1, 2, okay, couple seconds. Now, $100,000 house. Mm-hmm. You've got that earnest money deposit, right? Mm-hmm. That the seller says, just give me $1,000. Okay. So you give them $1,000, right?
Okay.
Now, mind you, let me reel that back a 2, 3, or 4 steps. It's not that you're giving the seller per se $1,000. You're not really giving it to the seller. You're putting it in escrow as your earnest money deposit. It goes to escrow. A fiduciary that has no skin in the game, right? They're just there to help both parties come to the wedding at the altar, okay? And get married, right? So you're going to put your $1,000 down at the escrow office, okay? Now, you're going to do FHA. We're going to keep this real simple. You're going to do FHA, and with FHA, you need a what down payment?
3%.
3.5% on FHA.
Okay, 3.5.
Yes. Okay, you're on your way to getting an A in the class today. Let's stay focused and get the A. Okay. All right. So, 3.5% or $3,500, right?
Yes.
Okay. So remind us what you've already got in escrow.
1,000.
And now you're going to add to that.
3,500.
Okay. So now we're up to $4,500, right? Yep. Now, closing costs, right? Because you're buying a house that's at $100,000. Like I said, I'll just keep the math simple. Let's say the closing costs are $5,000. Okay. So you've got the $5,000, you've got the $3,500, and you've got the $1,000 that you need, right? So what does all that add up to?
$9,500.
$9,500. Now, mind you, remember, 3.5% comes from somewhere. It comes from the loan program, and all these numbers kind of flow together, right? So if the sales price is $100,000 and the lender says you need a 3.5% down payment, that's because they're only going to give you $96,500 for your loan. Let me make sure I'm clear. A lot of my first-time home buyers don't understand, and I keep switching my eyes to the wrong camera, I think. But you guys get the point. Just listen if you can. If you don't see my eyes, don't worry about it. Just listen, because this is what the important part of all this is. Listen to what I am saying. So if you have these questions at the end of this podcast, like I said, I'm going to give you my phone number. Okay? I do that after every show, by the way, so just look on YouTube for these other shows, right? I've got 29 episodes on today. So just look back at all 29. Okay. But at any rate, the lender, for you first-time home buyers or those who may have forgotten along the way, along the years, they're not giving you $100,000. If the sales price is $100,000, they're not giving you $100,000. They said you need 3.5% down payment. That's because they're only going to give you $96,500. Okay? Because you've got to have what they call some skin in the game to show that you really want this house and you can afford it. Okay? So the lender is going to give you $96,500. Now, what was that number that you said that you already had brewing around?
The first number that I had?
Yes.
10,000.
Okay. That's what you said that you thought you needed to have to save up for. But the number that we've been running now with our calculator is
$9,500.
Okay, so $9,500. Now, what is $96,500 plus $9,500? We're going somewhere with this, guys. I want you guys to understand what you're talking about here.
$106,000.
$106,000. What was the sales price of the property?
$100,000.
You understand where we're going here? So if the sales price that you need to buy this house is $100,000, but you have now $106,000 because you had $9,500 already put into there, then you're over. Now, let me say this. You don't have an extra $6,000 to play around with. You don't, okay? What I'm trying to get you all to understand is sometimes it's not, oh my gosh, I need $10,000. No, sometimes you need to understand the numbers. what you have to, and is a must, you must understand which loan program you're getting into. If you're getting into the program that says you need 3.5% of the down payment, lo and behold, have your $3,500. If you have nothing else, make sure you have that $3,500. Now, the $1,000 earnest money deposit that we talked about, it actually comes off of the total amounts of monies. Remember, we just calculated how the sales price was $100,000, but you had a whole $106,000. You had the lender's $96,500, and you had your $9,500. Together was $106,000. But you don't need quite $106,000 because as you're accumulating this money, they start subtracting off what you really need to close with. And it won't be $106,000 because one, they're going to subtract out that $1,000 earnest money deposit that you already paid. So you don't have to come up with that again, right? And then two, I said closing costs on the $100,000 may be about $5,000. It won't be that high, shouldn't be that high. Okay, but that $5,000, remember that down payment assistance program I told you about that goes up to $10,000 in closing costs in the state of California? Well, guess what? Even if your closing costs were $5,000, the down payment assistance program possibly can wipe that out. So the reason why I wanted to go through this exercise with you guys is to show you this, oh my gosh, I need
$10,000.
is not really the case in most cases. Okay? But you have to understand the steps in the process on what you're trying to buy. Now, in your state, if you're watching nationwide or if you're here in the state of California, you know the $100,000 sales price will probably get you a box that you can fit sneakers in. I'm just saying. However, as the numbers in the sales price, that was supposed to be a joke, guys. Thank you for the chuckle. But no, seriously, as the numbers in your sales price go up, just start thinking what it is that you may need to come up with. If you start with that 3.5% and that 1 to 2% earnest money deposit, if you start there and you got that part of it, great. That's a great start. And you should be thinking, okay, I'm probably qualified to buy a house. But let's move on from those numbers of down payment and down payment assistance, because what the question was originally to Deja was, where do I get this money for this down payment and closing costs? Well, one, she mentioned the down payment assistance programs, right? Okay. Two, she said from an aunt. Now, that's not a bad thing because, yes, you can get monies from family and friends. It's called a gift. What'd you say, Shirley? It's called a gift. You need a gift letter that basically says, I, Shirley Nichols, will gift over my niece, Deja Marie Miles, XYZ dollars. I'll sign it. We give it to the lender, right? But I have to also, in most cases, depends on how you do it. Most cases, I would have to show proof that I could actually afford it to give to her, right? I can't have, $10,001 in the bank and I said, I'm going to give her $10,000. I'm left with $1. That's not affordability, right? So, however, that's one of the many resources that you can have when it's time for down payment monies and closing costs. One, a gift, right? From family and friends. You know of any others? We talked about down payment assistance. We talked about gifts from family and friends. How about your own checking and savings account? What'd you say, Shirley?
Oh, I wanted to avoid that. I
needed to
save that up so I can, decorate my new home.
So that's where the problem becomes a problem. Nobody wants to put the skin in the game. We want to use the family monies, but we don't want to use our own monies. So let's start again. Down payment assistance, gift, and
your own checking and savings.
Okay, thank you. You obviously have a job. You obviously have an employment or a career because that's why you're buying the property. Your paychecks, guys. Your paychecks. That's a great source for down payment assistance and all those kinds of good things. Not down payment assistance, I'm sorry, for closing costs and your down payment monies. Your own checking and savings is a great source. I promise you it is. We will ask for a bank statement and see that direct deposit from your paycheck. By golly, you've got some down payment monies. Okay, so now, down payment assistance, gifts, your own checking and savings. And I'm going to throw out there because I think a lot of people forget, or maybe they don't even know, but do you have a 401k with your job, your employer?
You can pull from that.
What'd you say?
You can pull from your 401k.
Bada boom, bada bing. Okay? And I think a lot of the times clients forget this part. You can utilize that 401k. Well, my grandmother, my grandfather, my great, 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 great Aunt Sally and her great, great, great cousin told me never to touch that. Well, now I have a difference of opinion sometimes about that. And the reason why I say, as a first-time home buyer, that money is there for utilizing of assets, right? Because you're investing in yourself. You're reinvesting in yourself. There's nothing greater than to pull from what you have as an asset and reinvest in it in a whole nother bigger asset. Didn't I say in the beginning that the house will probably be one of your biggest assets?
You did.
Okay. Let's use it, guys. Let's use that 401k if you have it available. Well, my employer said I can't touch it. Your employer said you couldn't touch it. Your great, 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 great Aunt Sally and her great cousin Junior, all of these people said you couldn't touch it. But do they work for the holding company that holds your money?
No.
It's kind of like that Burger King worker that wants to tell you how to braid the hair. Get to the source. Get to the source. There's nothing more important than to call that resource, call that 401k plan and say, hey, listen, I'm buying a house. Is there any way that I can pull from this 401k plan? And you will find out 9 out of 10 times, after 28 years of doing this business, I'm pretty much sure. But 9 out of 10 times when you call this 401k company, or even I get a lot of educators, right? I get a lot of educators who say, well, I have this cafeteria plan or this 403c that I'm not supposed to touch. Yes, you educator. Call the person who's holding this 403c or this cafeteria plan. Call them. Because if you explain, I'm buying a house, 9 out of 10 times they're going to say, oh, that's a hardship. Don't ask me why they call it these hardships. I have no idea. But I don't care if you call it a birth ship. It's a ship. I need part of it. I need to get on it. You get what I'm saying? So call them and ask them, what do I need to do to get a hold of these funds? That's it. Just call them and ask them, because it's there for your pickings and using. It's just reinvesting in yourself. That's really all that it is. So yes, down payment assistance, family, friends, your own checking and savings, and utilize that 401k if you've got it. Some kind of retirement plan, whatever you got, utilize it. Call them, ask them how to do it, and I'm pretty sure they'll walk you through the steps to get it done, okay? So we talked about down payments, down payment assistance, earnest money deposits, where you're going to get these resources from. Let's talk about the credit. Let's talk about the credit.
Everyone's favorite part.
You better know it. All right, let's talk about that good old FICO score. That good old FICO score. You need it. I don't care if it's buying a house, renting an apartment, buying a car, student loan. I don't care what you're doing. In the financial industry, in this lending world, that FICO score
Matters.
matters. What'd you say?
It matters.
All lives matter. All FICO scores matter. Get them. So now, there's 3 FICO scores. Do you know what they are, those 3 credit scores?
No.
I'm sorry.
Credit bureaus?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Look at you. Okay. Do you know what they are?
Equifax, Experian. I don't know the third one.
Sure you do. Starts with a T. T.
No, still.
Rands. T Rands.
TransUnion?
Oh, there it is. Told you knew it. So can you say that again for us one more time? What are the 3 national bureaus that we need you to have intact?
TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax.
Equifax. Yeah,
Equifax.
Sure. Uh-huh. Those 3 are very important. You can go to freecreditreport.com, annualcreditreport.com. There are some websites out there, guys, that you can go and check your credit today. Check it today. I don't care if you just checked it yesterday. You can check it again today. There are a lot of free sites, right? Now, what costs typically is they'll say, give us your debit or credit card number, and we'll give you this free trial period of 30 days. And then after 30 days, it is going to cost you $1 bazillion a month. you can give them that credit card or debit card number. Just know that in 30 days, they really aim to charge you $1 bazillion a month, okay? Not quite a bazillion, maybe a gazillion. No, I don't know. What I'm saying is they're like $19.99 a month or something like that. Whatever the subscription is, you really don't have to pay it to get your information today. But they might ask you for that credit card or that debit card. No problem, no worries. Go ahead and give it to them. But just make sure you put an alert in your phone that, hey, on day number 25, 26, and you really don't need it for all those days. You only want to check it for today, right? So maybe put an alert in your phone that says, hey, in about 10 days, I need to cancel this subscription, right? Because you're just trying to find out what's going on with the credit right now. So I implore you to go ahead, check those 3 bureaus, and they'll say, hey, give us another $30 and we'll give you the credit scores. If you're not ready to buy right now, and I'm talking within the next 30 or 60 days, the credit score, you might want to look at it just for your own perusal and your own, knowledge or whatever. But if you're not really trying to buy right now in the next 30, 60 days, save the money and wait till the time you're closer to buy. You're just wanting the reports from all 3 bureaus so that you can look on there. And especially now that we're coming out of a pandemic and there's a lot of fraud and identity theft that was running rampant all throughout the pandemic, you just want to look at those 3 bureaus to see what it is that's on there, that may have accidentally crept up on there, right? So that's what you want to get those reports for. Not necessarily the score, but if you want your FICO score, go ahead and knock yourself out. But the report itself from all 3 bureaus is what you're trying to look at, right? To see what's on there, okay? So, credit scores. What do you think you need to buy a house?
A 620.
A 620. That's a good start. That's a great answer. 620 is ideal, but not mandatory, right? 620 is ideal, but not mandatory. And I say that because we have lenders, guys. There's lenders out there right now that will take your 550 credit score. What'd you say, Shirley?
550.
Yeah, say it again.
She said 550.
I said 550. There are lenders out there right now that will allow you to have a 550 score. Now, it will be a government FHA program, and the rate will start in the 6% range. It will. But you have a 550. You want to get in a home. Get in the home, get your scores, your credit scores up, and then we refinance you in about 8-9 months, right? Depending on what your credit scores are and your equity looks like. But nonetheless, again, when is a good time to buy a house?
When you're qualified.
And if you're qualified at a 550, you might have to take the 6%, but I bet you'll be in a house. That's it. So that's why I said it's very important to ask the professionals, ask the broker, ask the mortgage lender, what kind of credit score you need, what kind of down payment you need, where to get the down payment from. It's good to talk, like I said, amongst your friends and family and coworkers and stuff about, what you're doing in life and, all your accomplishments and your goals. It's great. But everybody's, I want to say everybody's journey is different when it comes to lending, right? Not every single client that I've done, they don't mirror each other all the time. They don't match each other all the time. They're parallel in most cases, but there's still some differences. Your credit score may not be my credit score. Your assets may not be my assets. Your preference and style of house may not be my preference and style of house. So again, everyone's journey will be slightly different. And it's okay as long as you get to the altar and get married. So what I'm saying is there's so many more questions that we can go over. But I'll end with this again. When is there a good time to buy a house?
When you're qualified.
Thank you. That's my signal. Something's in my throat.
Okay,
but yes, it is Mortgage Money with Shirley. And I, again, thank you for your time. I hope that you all subscribe. Check out my Facebook page and my Instagram and my YouTube channel. It is episode 29, question and answer, first-time home buyers. Your girl Shirley, go out, be great, and have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Thank you.